Mok Lan, are you out of your mind? There are others who are talented, yet you choose Tham Lang, father. The three young ones from the Marquis' residence are under my command, and I surely cannot accept them. As for Van Liam and Mike X, they are both skilled individuals. One desires to complement my literary skills with his martial prowess, taking command of the Marquis' residence. The other boasts of his martial arts prowess and wishes to lead the Marquis' army in battles far and wide, achieving many merits, Kim Mok Lan said. Mok Lan, isn't that a good thing? Kim Trak asked in confusion. If father is still healthy, of course, it's not a problem. But what if one day you're no longer around, and my husband becomes greedy for the Marquis' residence? What should I do then? What about my younger brother, Mok Lan said. The couple from the Countess's family were deeply moved after hearing this. This daughter is indeed worth her weight in gold, and they couldn't bear to marry her off to a country bumpkin like Tham Lang. At this point, Mok Lan continued, Tham Lang has given me hope. His answer is to give me freedom. As long as I remain faithful and don't have affairs with other men, anything else is acceptable. If I marry him, there will be no concerns about the business of our Kim family. I hope father agrees, Kim Mok Lan pleaded with her parents. But Tham Lang is quite inferior. You must know his reputation in Hyanvu City. The Marquis said, Tham Lang's reputation is terrible. Isn't it a joy to provoke the Truk family? If I marry someone too good, I'm afraid the Truk family won't stay calm. Seeing an annoying enemy is a source of joy for them. Moreover, I have only one request for my future husband, and that is to be handsome, and in this regard, Tham Lang fits the bill, Kim Mok Lan said. Pay attention, brothers, being intelligent is not enough. If you want to be a parasite, you must at least have a handsome face. Being foolish and ugly is as good as being abandoned. Hearing Mok Lan speak these words, the Marquis became even more bitter, and the Marquis wasted no time in asking about their son. When they found out that he was still in the study room, Marquis Kim Trak immediately called for someone to bring a whip for him. His elder sister had always sacrificed for the family, and yet, when it came to education, he showed no improvement, deserving of a beating. Before the Marquis left, the Marquise tried to stop him, thinking that she would prevent her husband from scolding their mischievous son. However, to her surprise, she also brought a whip and joined her husband in disciplining the troublesome son. Inside the study room, the sounds of the Marquis' son's wailing could be heard. Truly a pitiful sight. Meanwhile, at Tham Lang's place, his supervisor had arrived and invited him to the living room. He mentioned that shortly they would send someone to pick up his family at the residence. Tham Lang happily nodded. It seemed he had officially been chosen as the son-in-law. Now, the first thing he needed to do was protect his family. After marriage, he planned to settle accounts with the True family and Din family. First, he informed the supervisor, my family is in danger. Supervisor Kim, upon hearing that someone dared to threaten the future in-laws of the Marquis' residence, was visibly angered. He assured Tham Lang that he would safely bring his family here. At Dean Hohn's place, he was chewing on a large piece of goat leg, taking a sip of wine after each bite. He instructed Dean Thirstein, go to Tham Lang's house and demand the formula for the 7-color silk dye. If Tham Lang refuses to hand it over, kill them all. Dean 13, upon receiving the order, immediately led a group of men straight to Tham Lang's house. Both the righteous and the villainous factions were taking action for Tham Lang. Those from the righteous side were sending congratulatory messages, while those from the villainous side intended to massacre Tham Lang's entire family. However, they were unaware that Tham Lang was about to marry Kim Mok Lan. When the Kim family suddenly announced Mok Lan's impending marriage, especially on the same night, it caused a stir in Hyanvu City. Still, it did not affect Dean Hohn's actions. Dean 13 group had reached Tham Lang's house, but the once dilapidated home was strangely quiet. Despite any hidden plots, Dean 13 urged his men to storm in, claiming that Tham Lang's family was concealing farmland and evading taxes. However, as soon as they kicked the door open, Dean 13 and his gang stood frozen for 5 seconds. The 3 members of Tham Lang's family had secretly armed themselves and were ready to confront Dean 13 and his companions violently. Dean 13 paid no attention and drew his sword, intending to end their lives. However, before he could strike, Dean 13 sensed a powerful force behind him. When he turned around to see who it was, he was horrified. Behind him was a person in military uniform, with a face full of killing intent, almost twice the size of Dean 13. By order of the city lord, capture the tax evaders, those hiding farmland. Those unrelated, leave immediately, Dean 13 said. Oh, originally, we shouldn't disturb the city lord's work. But our master invited Mr. Tham's family to attend the wedding. If we don't take them, I don't know how to explain them to our master. Can you overlook this? The person in military uniform said. May I ask for your name? Dean 13 inquired. Kim Trung. The person in military uniform replied. When Dean 13 learned that the visitor was Kim Trung, he became extremely worried. Kim Trung was from the Marquis' residence, and Dean 13 didn't understand why he had come here. Furthermore, he was here to invite Tham's family to the Marquis' residence for the wedding. Despite the many questions and suspicions, Dean 13 didn't dare to provoke Kim Trung, and he had to let Kim Trung take Tham's family away. After Kim Trung took the 3 members of Tham's family, Dean 13's subordinates were puzzled. Should they just let them go like that? Dean 13 explained to them. Do you guys know who that was just now? That was Kim Trung, the trusted aide of Marquis Hyenvu. This is surely Tham Lang's doing. Pray for him and the Marquis' residence, or else, and if not, one asked, if not, then you guys go home. Goodbye to your parents to pack up and move outside the city, Dean Woiba said, not pleased, unable to complete the mission. Dean 13 and his men could only return to report to Dean Hone, back at the guild. Dean Hone was happily enjoying time with his wife. Upon hearing Dean 13 report, Dean Hone's mood immediately shifted, and he hastily pulled up his pants to run to the Lam family's house, at the Lam family's residence. Both Lam Mak and To Kwang Don happened to be there. Dean Hone shared Tham Lang's situation with them. At this point, everyone harbored suspicions. Could Tham Lang really have been chosen as the son-in-law of the Marquis' residence? After some contemplation, To Kwang Don and Lam Mak decided to go to the Marquis' residence to confirm the truth before planning their next moves at the Marquis' wedding. People like Dean Hone were clearly not invited, but he was used to crashing such events, and he couldn't resist attending this feast at the Marquis' residence. The guests had already arrived, including To Thin Thin and her new boyfriend, Trong Tan. Tham Lang, at this moment, sat in the floral carriage, the ceremony resembling a typical wedding, except the roles of the bride and groom were swapped. Though embarrassing, this unusual arrangement sparked many speculations among the attendees about the groom's identity. After a lively display of fireworks, Tham Lang was carried in a carriage to the entrance. At this moment, the 3 members of the Marquis family also appeared. And when Tham Lang stepped out of the carriage, those who knew him were quite astonished. Although Tham Lang wore a mask, his tall and slender figure was unmistakable. Those with ill intentions towards Tham Lang were now filled with anxiety, especially Lam Mak. Who thought? If Tham Lang truly becomes the son-in-law of the Marquis, it's a certain death for our Lam family. Tham Lang walked straight to Kim Mok Lan. She looked exceptionally beautiful today, with a full figure, a waist of 56, and long legs. When the auspicious time arrived, The supervisor conducted the wedding ceremony for the two of them. The wedding was quite simple, and after completing the rituals, it was time to retire to the bridal chamber. However, as Tham Lang prepared to leave Lu Vo Nam, the city leader of Hien Vu confidently approached. He expressed curiosity about the Marquis' son-in-law and wanted the groom to remove his mask. Following Lu Vo Nam was Truc Lam, the commander-in-chief of the southern garrison, the grand general of the southern garrison of Viet Quoc. As soon as he arrived, he loudly demanded that Tham Lang take off the mask for everyone to see. The people around them immediately created a clamor, insisting on seeing the groom's face. Tham Lang glanced at Kim Mok Lan, who nodded in agreement, and he proceeded to remove his mask. As soon as they saw him, everyone couldn't help but be surprised. Din Hon to Thin Thin and Trong Tan were all in disbelief. Trong Tan, although fond of Kim Mok Lan, never dared to dream, let alone consider himself in such a position. It was unexpected that Kim Mok Lan would marry someone like Tham Lang. This prompted him to mockingly say, "Ha ha ha. Miss Kim Mok Lan, is this wedding even real? Why would you ask that?" She replied, "Hey, do you all know who this guy is? His name is Tham Lang. Studied for 10 years and doesn't even know one character. Expelled from Honshu School for stealing money, teasing girls, and then getting kicked out. There's no doubt that a useless guy like him leaving. How could the Marquis' residents make such a mistake? How could Kim Mok Lan notice? It's all a sham." Trong Tan's words stirred public opinion because everyone envied Tham Lang. At this point, Marquis Kim Trak asked Trong Tan if he had evidence to dare degrade Tham Lang's intelligence. "I can prove it because I studied at Honshu School with Tham Lang," said Nan Hung, the top student at Honshu School, an excellent student with an ordinary background. "He's not just lacking in intelligence, he's more like a fool." Nan Hung added, willing to insult Tham Lang to flatter the Trong family. In front of the crowd, Tham Lang asked Nan Hung, "You say my mind is feeble. Do you have any evidence?" "Ha ha. You studied for 10 years and don't even know one character. Isn't that evidence enough? Here's the deal. I'll write a few characters, if you recognize them. I won't call you feeble-minded anymore, but if you don't recognize them, then you truly are," Nan Hung proposed. Tham Lang immediately agreed. And Nan Hung placed a piece of paper on the table and quickly wrote 3 characters. "These 3 characters are extremely simple," Nan Hung said. "But those with average education levels couldn't understand them." Even Tham Lang focused on using the computer in his mind to look up the words, and the search results quickly appeared. He then read according to those results. The first character is homonymous with Inga, a type of plant used for medicine, known in the poems of Kinki Tiuna. The second character is Su, with the first meaning being a gem with flaws, and the second meaning being a royal family. The third character is quite rare, and there are many ways to read it. The first reading is Shu, meaning straight. The second reading is Gun, meaning smooth from top to bottom. The third reading is Tui, meaning to retreat. And the fourth reading is Gun. But it is an ancient surname originating from the Kong family in ancient times. Tham Lang explained very clearly, and Nan Hung, upon hearing it, felt a sudden drop in blood pressure, his legs wobbling, struggling to stand steady. "No, it can't be. Even I only know 2 ways to read it. Nan Hung, you haven't even finished learning all the readings. Yet you dare to come here and challenge me." Tham Lang expressed disappointment towards Nan Hung. He then turned to Trong Bangok, who was Nan Hung's teacher and the former leader of Hien Vu. "Master Trong, your knowledge is extensive, both in literature and martial arts, and you're also Nan Hung's teacher. Can you please confirm if I read these 3 characters correctly?" Tham Lang asked. Trong Bangok felt a bit embarrassed, but couldn't deny that Tham Lang had read it correctly, leaving everyone even more astonished. Right after that, Tham Lang began to retaliate against the one who had humiliated him. He took a pen and wrote a peculiar word that dazzled everyone who looked at it. Then he challenged Nan Hung, stating that if Nan Hung could recognize 4 characters, he would concede. Nan Hung started sweating profusely, initially worried because he knew the characters. But then he realized he didn't recognize the 4 characters. However, he quickly caught on, joyfully reading aloud the 4 characters. I am a fool. After reading these 4 characters, Nan Hung felt proud, standing tall and looking around confidently. However, just a second later, he sensed something was off. And by the time he realized, the entire room burst into laughter at his foolishness. Even Kim Mok-lan couldn't help but burst into laughter. Either stepped down quickly, truly losing all face. Trong Byung-gak was extremely angry. Bringing a talented student here not only failed to be proud but also invited disgrace. To salvage a bit of face, he suggested that he himself would write a character for Tham Lang to guess. Tham Lang, without any fear, immediately agreed. Trong Byung-gak took a pen and drew a few strokes on a piece of paper. Everyone opened their mouths, eyes wide open, watching his every move. Trong Byung-gak had just finished writing when Tham Lang was delighted because he knew this character. But he didn't know how people read it in this era. Ha ha, Tham Lang, you don't know, do you? Nan Hung teased Tham Lang again. Ignoring him, Tham Lang spoke with Trong Byung-gak, Master Trong. If I guess correctly, you probably don't know how to read this character, right? Perhaps you understand the meaning of this word through the characters above and below on the stele, but you don't know how to read it. That's correct. But knowing the meaning is more important than knowing how to read, isn't it? Trong Byung-gak said. Tham Lang held up the character and said, I can read this character. Nan Hung immediately rushed up to question, saying, I don't believe it. If even my teacher doesn't know how to read this character, how can Tham Lang? He also made a deal with Tham Lang, stating that if Tham Lang could read this character in front of everyone, Nan Hung would slap himself. Not only for Tham Lang, but he also asked everyone to be witnesses. Tham Lang pointed to the character and said, this character is homonymous with the word Nen and is read as Ren. You say it's read as Ren, but who can prove that? Nan Hung retorted. The meaning of this character is synonymous with the word thich. Tham Lang continued. Upon hearing this, Trong Byung-gak was very surprised. Such a rare character. How could Tham Lang know how to read it? He wondered, teacher, he making this up? Nan Hung ran to Trong Byung-gak and asked. Trong Byung-gak could deny Tham Lang's answer, but this area had been thoroughly researched. If Tham Lang revealed it, his reputation would suffer. It had to be admitted, Nan Hung, blame only yourself for your resentment. Trong Byung-gak thought. With a cheerful face, he acknowledged Tham Lang's answer as correct. Everyone in the room was amazed, especially Nan Hung. This was like a thunderbolt out of the blue for him. His legs seemed to give way, and he looked as if he might faint at any moment. This first shock of his life was too overwhelming. After the results were acknowledged, Tham Lang asked Nan Hung about their deal earlier. Nan Hung, I'm sure you haven't forgotten our deal, have you? Nan Hung's face turned pale, and he hurriedly turned to seek help from his teacher. However, Trong Byung-gak ignored him and walked away. Nan Hung fell into despair, gritted his teeth, raised his hand, and slapped himself on the right cheek in front of everyone. After self-slapping, he left, still seething with anger. Kim Trak had a different view of Tham Lang after this incident, showing a satisfied expression. However, he didn't praise Tham Lang. He just advised him to accompany Kim Mok-lan to meet her parents and then begin the celebration. As Tham Lang was about to leave, suddenly Truck Lam sitting on the side shouted for him to stop. He looked at Tham Lang for a while and then said, You're quite interesting, young man. I like you now. Thank you for Truc's admiration." Tham Lang respectfully replied, "Ha, ha, how?" Truck Lim suddenly burst into laughter, leaving everyone puzzled about what was going on in the old fox's mind.